I got sent a request on could Mike, it was along the lines of how good would Mike Tyson have been if he hadn't been sent to jail? Could he have been the best heavyweight of all time? And just to discuss some point, surrounding those issues. I have invited my brother to do a few videos with me. We did a few previously and the feedback seemed to be decent. So, wanted to discuss. Let me start with a few points quickly and then I'll pass it over to yourself. I think in watching the early Mike Tyson fights, he seems to be like an unstoppable force. To my eye, he looks uniquely devastating, uniquely offensively capable, and he almost has a whole new style of fighting to, heavyweights that we see active today. People look at guys like Anthony Joshua, people look at guys like David Haye, and they say that these are devastating punchers, devastating heavyweights. If you look at early Mike Tyson, the way he was running his way through the heavyweight division, he looked unstoppable. He looked like a different planet of ability compared to Anthony Joshua, in my opinion. And this is when you've got to consider that Anthony Joshua's, 6'6", 25 years old, whereas Mike Tyson was effectively a child. He wasn't even 6 foot tall. For me, Mike Tyson clearly had the potential to be, if not the best heavyweight of all time, involved in the discussion of the best heavyweight of all time. I'm talking here about ability. However, looking back at the end of his career, I don't think he's got the resume of wins against genuine big names that allow us to realistically put him in that bracket. So, first and foremost, I'd be keen to hear your thoughts in general, and then secondly, I'd like to move it on to the topic of how good could he have been had he not gone to jail.
Okay. So, first topic is...
Well, your thoughts on sort of Mike Tyson as a potential sort of fighter. Did he have the capability? Did he have the skill set to be great?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, of course he did. His speed, his head work, his body movement, obviously his punching power, sort of his variety, sort of his ferocity. It's terrifying to behold. You see the videos of him now doing bag work and sparring. It's scary to watch.
Yeah.
Especially, as you say, from a man that wasn't even 6 foot and barely 200 and something pounds. He wasn't the biggest chap.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I think certainly he looked like a more dangerous fighter than anyone who's active in the division today. That way he kind of bobbed and weaved his way in through those body punches, it was amazing. But for whatever reason, the big fights, and I know he had big fights early on in his career, Burbick, Spinks, whatever, but, will Mike Tyson go down as the greatest heavyweight of all time? In my opinion, certainly not. He just didn't have the resume of wins. So, why do you think that was the case? Do you think that he struggled against the better opposition? Do you think his size was the issue? Or what are your thoughts on him being in jail? Was that what was detrimental?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing is, when Customata died, I think is when it all starts really going to crap for Tyson. But he speaks about this brilliantly in that documentary film Tyson, which I'm struggling to remember now. But everything came from Customata: the style, the speed, the ferocity, the trust in people. And they went from Customata to Don King, and Tyson's beef with Don King was very well documented. Sort of very genuine disgust, seemingly, between those two. At least there was. I also think the opposition wasn't there as well. Trevor Burbick, which Spinks was it? Was it Michael?
Yeah.
They cannot compare to Fraser, Norton, and Foreman. The big two he fought, and the best two other people not named Mike Tyson were Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, and he lost.
Yeah. However, those losses came after he was in jail. Do you think it would have been different had Tyson fought them early on in his career?
I don't know. Lennox Lewis was the chess player, literally and within boxing. So he might have been able to work out how to deal with the raw ferocity that seemed to dissipate a bit throughout the rest of Tyson's career. Holyfield was a man not dissimilar to Tyson. They were both small. Holyfield was bigger, but he started as a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
So compact, so sort of brutal, come forward himself. I mean, Tyson complained a lot about getting butted, but that was just how you had to fight Holyfield, because he came forward and he didn't stop.
I think if you look at Lewis Tyson, the actual fight, and this is when Tyson was very much faded, in that first round, Tyson still seemed to have some capabilities to cause Lewis issues. It's just that Lewis was much fitter, he was more in his prime, and he used the ability. But Lennox Lewis, and I am a huge Lennox Lewis fan, but let's not forget he got knocked out by Oliver McCall. He got knocked out by Hasim Rahman. These are B-level heavyweights. You'd have to think like a real on his game Iron Mike would cause him trouble. I think realistically my opinion is that Mike Tyson, unfortunately, was too vulnerable as an individual.
Yeah.
Now, the jail clearly was a huge issue. The death of Costamato was clearly a huge issue. But there were other issues, weren't there? There was the street fight with that heavyweight, I think his name was Mitch Green or something like that, getting involved in stuff like that. There was all the trouble that he had with women throughout his career. There was the money issues, there was the Don King issues. My point is that Mike Tyson was a very, very vulnerable individual who gave, whose success attributed to Costamato was essentially in the hands of a very, very old man. Costamato was always going to die. It was only ever going to be a matter of time. And I think realistically Tyson was such a vulnerable guy. He was, he had problems with women, he had problems with violence, etc. And there would have always been something that got in his way of, continued training discipline and continued success.
Have you heard the Teddy Atlas story?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean when I say problems with women, or, perhaps more accurate would be to say problems with girls. Yeah. But, what I'm getting at is, and sometimes I think in boxing, you have to look at this with vulnerable fighters. I mean, the likes of Tyson Fury, for example. I'm not saying Tyson Fury is vulnerable to the same extent, because I think Tyson Fury is more of an actor. But sometimes when you get fighters who genuinely are, slightly unhinged, you do have to factor in, are there going to be other factors that prevent them from performing in the ring? I mean, I know with Tyson, Mike Tyson, the suggestion of drug taking, there's all sorts of stuff. And I think when you're fighting at the real top level of a sport, if you start missing training, start taking drugs, start sleeping around, start getting in street fights.
Just slacking.
Yeah, it's just, you can't get to the top. I mean, in my opinion, is Mike Tyson an all-time great 5 heavyweight? No, he's not. Because he didn't beat enough people. His resume cannot compare with Lennox Lewis in terms of the victories. I'm sorry, it just can't.
He was terrifying, that was the thing. In the ring.
He was terrifying. And I mean, in terms of his attributes, in terms of his potential, he could very easily have been the greatest heavyweight of all time. He was uniquely dangerous, uniquely aggressive, uniquely ferocious. My opinion, did jail time prevent him from being the best fighter ever? Probably not. But I think really Mike Tyson himself was his own worst enemy. And there was always going to be something that prevented him from reaching that pinnacle. You got any more things to say on that?
No, I think you've hit the nail pretty much on the head. I think the best person to refer this to would probably be the umpteen Mike Tyson documentaries and films that have been made since he's retired from boxing, where he seems to broadly say the same things. At least he fell in with the wrong crowd, or he started slacking in boxing when he got into very bad habits outside of boxing. And I think that is, well, it seems to be what he says, unless I've badly paraphrasing or misreading entirely what's been said by himself.
Perfect. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up, like it, share the video. Do leave any comments, always interesting to start a discussion. Thanks for watching.